Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're all settled on stage and ready for our panel discussion. This will put the spotlight on mastering omnichannel strategies with insight-driven marketing. I'd like you to put your hands together and help me in welcoming our distinguished moderator and our wonderful panelists. Please put your hands together for Director Marketing and Communications, Retailers Association of India and Editorial Director, STOrai, Dr. Hitesh Bhatt. And Dr. Hitesh Bhatt is our moderator for this session. Again, welcome to the Senior Director Sales, NOA. Please welcome Ashish Diwan. The Senior Vice President, Godrej Interio, B2C. Please warmly welcome Dr. Dev Narayan Sarkar. Customer Care Associate and Chief Marketing Officer, Shoppers Stop Limited. Please warmly welcome Jitin Mahendra. And please make some noise and welcome on stage Industry Head, Omnichannel and E-Commerce, Meta. Please welcome Hitesh Bhatt. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Hitesh Bhatt and this wonderful panel. Over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Hugo. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the day 2 of Retail Technology Conclave 2024. After the first 2 presentations on omnichannel and supply chain, I think the stage is set for ReTechCon day 2. Extremely wonderful insights by Vikram and Devesh. And this panel may be, a subset of those insights and also the insights that our panelists are going to share with us. Quickly, I would request all our panelists to introduce themselves and we can take it ahead from there. We start with Jiten.
Hi, I'm Jiten. I work with Shoppers Stop as a Customer Care Associate and the Chief Marketing Officer. I'm looking forward to interacting with you guys. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashish. I work at NOA. Head sales at NOA. For you who will not be familiar, we're a Fem Hygiene brand. It's a D2C brand and it's 6-year-old now. And I think we're small in scale, we're 100 crores now, but probably, obviously growing at much faster pace now.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dev Narayan Sarkar. I'm the Senior Vice President and Business Head of Godrej Interio. The first product of Godrej Interio rolled out some 100 years ago. So on the other end. So looking forward to interacting with you all.
Hey everyone, I think you all know me, we just met, so back to you.
Thanks, Devesh. Quickly, I would request all our guests to summarize the current scenario in terms of how are they looking at customer, So this is because we are talking about the omnichannel strategy and we'll come to that subsequently. But how are you looking at the customer today? We can start with any, so like we have our friend from Godrej, which is a 100-year-old brand, and we have got NOA, which is a 6-year-old brand. You are into feminine hygiene, and we have got Jiten, who is from a Shoppers Stop, departmental store, and here we have got I can't define Meta. So that's the way it is. So all of them have a different, and they are experiencing day in and day out different perspective of what the customer is. So it's just their outlook. Today, if you ask me what is the customer, I will say ABC, and this is what I see the trends. We will start with that and ask Jiten if he can say how does he see today's customer.
I think the customer is evolving at a very high pace. In fact, I feel this whole omni-channel is actually it's more push based from the customer, because I think the customer became omni first and then the channel became omni, and that's where we are still evolving in the omni space. So the customer doesn't really differentiate between the offline and the online. Okay, for him or her, and there are enough examples. If you look at any brick and mortar brand, and if you look at their e-commerce or e-commerce presence, it is in the light of the brand where it is strong, the e-commerce is also strong. So it is not reflecting the e-commerce market space vis-a-vis. So if you're a brand which is strong in South, your e-commerce is more stronger in South vis-a-vis in North. Or if you're a brand who is stronger in North. So it is not that there is an e-commerce market where brands are getting built. It is actually where is your mother brand strong. E-commerce is adding one more channel of interacting with the customer. And the customer is very well aware, and that's what we have been talking about, that how do you make it seamless? How do you make your loyalty programs, straddle across the platform? And the more we make it seamless, the customer is going to reward us for all that. So that's the way the customer is looking at us, yeah.
Thanks, Jitin. Ashish?
Yeah, so before going to channels, the way we see it at NOA, it's like, I think with the digital, and it's not only commerce, generally in digital, the customer has become really demanding. And the reason is that they're aware of what's happening out much faster than what it was happening earlier. It was more so the legacy brands would push it out, and this is what you need, this is what is available, but now the customer knows. And I think for us as a brands, we really need to be ahead of the curve. So we really look globally what's happening in the for example, in our own category, if you see, there are trends which arise in either in US, Europe, or now Southeast Asia. We bring it, and I think it's obviously it's one on the brands, and I think second it's on the channels to kind of really support that. And there's always I would say there's always a inertia to move on that. In our example, there's something called the new category, which is more like it's called as period panties. It's come up. It took us some time to convince that this is going to really hit us hard, and it's right now growing at like multifold month on month. And retailers were a little bit late to this thing, but the context here is that customers are really demanding. They're aware of what it is, and brands and retailers would have to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, so ours is a more interesting story because, as you know, Godrej is a 127-year-old organization. 100 years ago, the first item of Godrej Interio, which is basically the furniture brand and furniture retailing arm of Godrej, came into being. And for 100 years, we have been selling at least the almiras, and for last 20-25 years, we have been selling everything. So except for the floor and the ceiling, Godrej Interio can do up the entire home. Now, last year, January, I was recruited into Godrej Interio, and I come from a very consumer background, and I was told, how can we create this omni-channel? So it was a very different challenge for us. Oh, believe me, I was overwhelmed with the kind of infrastructure which Godrej has and had. 27 branch offices, all Godrej Bhavans, more than 50 warehouses, own logistics and transportation systems, a service which goes to almost 18,000 pin codes. India has 19,100 pin codes. Now, we already had the physical presence. How do we integrate it? And we realized that this organization also has an e-commerce arm, and they were operating a little disjointedly. So there was the challenge. How can we integrate it? And as everyone said, it is quite a zigzag journey. People go on e-commerce website, they look at a few furniture items, then they come into the showroom, then they go back again into the e-commerce website and check out the features, because we are not selling items which costs 20 rupee, 30 rupee, or even 1,000 rupee. A bed may cost anything from 30,000 rupees to 2,50,000 rupees. So people need to be sure. It is like selling automobiles. And our showrooms are meant to be that. It has lounges and everything else. What we did was we found out technologies which can integrate. So we found marketing clouds, we found AI-based technologies, but we began with the challenge in mind. We did not begin with the technology in mind. And then we started integrating everything. So today, proud to say, in the last 1.5 years journey, we have integrated and created an omni-channel journey where we keep a track, and we have a data lake now. We can keep a track of the people who are coming in offline and then going into online, or coming on online and going into offline. And we keep sending messages. As my learned colleague from Meta said, we use a lot of the platforms which Meta provides, which Google provides, which a lot of these social media provides us, to keep reminding them that you had visited our showroom. Do you need any help? And we have the infrastructure to also have home visitations. So if a person has visited website, showroom, and then forgets about us, we ask them, do you need somebody to visit your home and measure your home and recommend the interior for you? So all those things have to be integrated. We are moving to a stage where, and it came quite easily to online players, digitally native online players to come into offline and say, we will use the same billing system. We'll use the same infrastructure in offline. But we already had an offline infrastructure. So now we have offline and online, and we have integrated it using certain dashboards and panels. But yes, we have some way to go, and the biggest challenge which we are facing, and a little bit of insight there is, as soon as we went online, online customers are way more demanding. A small welding point which is left on an almirah or on a furniture, or a small thing which is there, maybe a rough edge in our furniture, which people used to live by for ages and ages, and we can always invite them into our showrooms and say, we will repair this, here, we will treat you to something. In online, blows out of proportion, because it immediately goes into a bad rating. So we are learning those things of how to handle that, because we have recently invested in an AI tool which can do sentiment analysis for us. So as soon as we sell, and the first conversation which we have during installation, we do a sentiment analysis. What kind of rating can come to us? If the sentiment analysis goes poor, we go back to them. So we are learning the game, and this RealTech or the RAI has helped us a lot, because last 1 year ago exactly, we visited their stalls and we got a lot of ideas. We came with problems and we got solutions. So thank you for that. We have a long journey to make, and I will just end with one song from this movie Yalgar of Sanjay Dutt, which was the godfather of India at that time, and it said, हम दर्द मोहब्बत तो मिटा सकते हैं, लेकिन ये दर्द पुराना है, ये रोग पुराना है, जरा देर लगेगी. So we are on the journey, and it will always remain a journey. From what I hear here, it will always remain a journey. Technology is evolving faster than we can evolve. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Dev. That was quite insightful. Devesh.
Yes, so I think I'll actually feed off what Jiten said on how the customer got there faster than I think the omnichannel retailers, right? I think that's a very, very good insight. And again, actually just before Meta, I was also on the retail side of things, so I do have a vantage point on both ends. And I think maybe I'll break this down into two parts. What I really see is, the first part is when we look across the ecosystem, omnichannel retailers that do this objectively, do this well to understand the omnichannel customer, they really try and step back and look at where are consumers spending their time. Therefore, how do we break that down to understand if they're spending their time doing X, how can we really feed into that? And the big trends that have come across in the last couple of years is, obviously since COVID, overall viewership on TV is coming down, that's going towards OTT, print viewership to some extent is going down, where is that going instead? So I think objectively understanding these big trends, plotting it and almost trying to be ahead of the curve, and then going into the other platforms where time spent is going up, and not just doing things in a way where it's copy-paste, but building for that platform really to make sure that it's authentic and innovative. I think that's one batch of omnichannel retailers that I see do really, really well. And I think there's also, I feel, scope for retailers to do more, and I'll just give you an example, right? I think everybody is aware that this weekend there's going to be those massive sales of a Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra, and all of that stuff, and I'm sure everybody's raring to go to shop, right? In fact, this just came off a very organic conversation I had with my dad yesterday, because he's looking to now buy a television, and he called me and asked me, should I go to a store to do my research so that I'm ready when the sales come to actually shop online? And that got me thinking, that's a behavior that I think is an omni-channel behavior, and to the point that was done in the first session, that consumers are no longer loyal to one app, website, omni-channel retailer, right? Which is the hard truth today. But how can omni-channel retailers understand this behavior and tap into it, right? As an example, can a large electronics retailer actually invite their customers to view stuff in their store, do the research, but give them an incentive to shop online? So there are multiple such behaviors that already exist today that maybe retailers are not really tapping into just yet. So can you all actually start designing for that is the question, to actually therefore then get ahead of the competition and get ahead of what everybody else is doing.
In fact, Devesh, one thing which you spoke about your father's TV purchase example, I think it's the reverse. Initial years, we used to check online and then go to the store. Now there is a reverse here, so trend, and that is how can and this is what is happening, that if I may get a good deal out there, that means that the confidence in online sales also is increasing. Otherwise, the reason why people used to check online and go offline and buy it is because after sales service was there was a guarantee, there was a touch and feel, and I could catch hold of the person that, okay, something goes wrong to this. Like they mentioned, if the almari has a scratch, then, somebody has to take care of it. So this behavior is completely, and this trend also we have seen. So buy online, pick up in store, and all the BOPIS parts, but that is the pickup part of it. That is a true omni-channel part of it, which will come to it. But here the consumer trend of buying, that means the thought process is changing. Exactly what Jiten said. The omni-channel part has first come to the customer, and this is a reverse thing, Jiten. So with this, I want to ask you, what have been the major challenges for retailers in your experience also, and Ashish will come to you as well, because they've clearly articulated the whole thing with the song also, Dard Purana and Waqt Lagega and stuff like that. But आज के वक्त में time किसके पास है, so everything has to be instantaneous. So what were the major impediments, Jiten, in implementing the omni-channel part?
So I'll just recap the phases which, as a retailer, we went through. So one is that everybody started building the e-com business as a separate thing, and that's where a lot of time got invested in terms of the stack, in terms of proposition. Then it started creating a dissonance between the offline to online. That's where this whole endless aisle piece came in. What brands realize that the customer who's actually consuming you in the online and the customer who's consuming you in offline is not a different customer. It's a look-alike. Maybe he has not or she has not gone to your store. Doesn't mean it doesn't have you are not in the consideration set, or the brand attributes are not appealing. So it is not like randomly I open up a site and buy anything which comes in front of me. There is a history which goes into me, and that's where this whole ROPO piece of research, offline purchase online and vice versa, comes in the picture. So I think there where a lot of learning happened, and that's where this whole cost of acquisition, stack, went into a big problem. Then it came to the fact that, okay, there is a COVID piece where the loyalty came into the picture. The loyalty became the core of the business, that how do you make a loyal customer come and shop online? And that was the first time I think people started leveraging loyalty for giving offline. I remember conversations, people saying that we should not give discount to the offline customer and give it to the only online customer, because offline customer is buying full price. So all this sort of arbitration, multiple hypotheses got sort of buffed out, saying that it is not that the customer knows that you are giving an offline discount, online discount, and not giving offline. And that's why the customer movement started becoming faster than the actual new customer acquisition. And that's where loyalty came in the picture. Now I'm completely in sync with what we were discussing from the meta, is that how do you create more look-alike in the online space of your offline customer? Because acquiring a new customer online is a very expensive affair, and it is not a sustainable affair in any frame of work, because the whole algo, the retargeting, it doesn't gives you an access. So if I have to, and also it's not like my purchase in online is happening faster. The same customer is coming to me 2 times, 3 times, and then taking a call. It's not like, so similarly, if you look at from an offline perspective, you have a 20%, 25% conversion. Here the conversions are in 0.8, 0.9, 1.2, 2.2. So the best brand I have seen is around 2.2, 2.4. Now I'm saying so if you have to really make a omni strategy, you have to acquire the customer offline and bring it to the online and create more look-alike. So your online is targeting not randomly to a large universe. And I think you made a very important point. There are 6 million reels which are getting created. Now, if I start seeing all of them, my life, I'll not be able to see it in my whole life. So I'm saying we need to be more focused instead of just going and running after everybody because the whole world is on online. We need to figure out a look-alike, create more persona-driven conversation, and needs to ensure that your e-com business is 50% driven by organic. When I say organic, I'm talking about loyalty, I'm talking about content to commerce, I'm talking about the whole omni base of offline to online. it cannot be completely driven by performance or new customer acquisition. It will never be a profitable business for anyone. So this is what we are seeing in terms of our Omni journey.
Well said, Jiten, but I have a counterpart, a counter, argument that you mentioned that it's difficult to acquire customers online, and when I say difficult, it's expensive. We'll ask somebody, we'll ask Ashish only how difficult it is, and it is. So that's a fact. But you are a digital first brand, and how, because this is all about omnichannel. Your neighbor is a offline first and a physical first brand. You are a digital first brand, and both of you are somewhere, omnichannel with integrators like Meta, etc. So how do you look at this part where being a digital first brand, omnichannel is a challenge for you?
Yeah, so I think what I'll do is I'll give you our journey, what NOA has been doing for past 6 years now. Like we are a D2C brand. We started D2C first. For first 4 years, we used to do only website. And I agree a little bit that it's expensive to obviously acquire customer via Meta, via Google, but at least for us, the way we've been able to crack it is that we look at an LTV. So we have a product which is very different from everybody here. We sell products which are 300 rupees, 250 to 300 rupees AOV of every time what we sell. So we can never literally make money in the first transaction, whatever we do. But the way we look at it is it's completely on LTV, completely on lifetime value of the customer. And we've been able to not only sustain, but really grow, flourish online as well, is that we do subscriptions. And we're one of the very few D2C brands or consumer brands, I would say, have been able to crack subscriptions. So on website, you can go and actually, when we acquire with a CAC of say 600, 700 rupees, we're able to make that work out because we know if the lady has started buying sanitary pad, and every month this pad will go to her, or every once in quarter, 3 packs will go to her. So LTV makes really sense for us. And as a result, even today, while we become an undercrowd brand, I think we're again the very few brands, still 35% of our sale comes from our own website. Now, this quantum is really important because what it does is that the real D2C value is not this 35% businesses, but what I can do with the customer. I respect Meta a lot, but I don't need Meta to just reach out to them or a retailer to reach out to them. So what we do is that any new product, any insight, any marketing activation, anything I want to, I just run directly through my customers, and then I know, okay, this is going to work, and then I take it to the next part of the journey. So in our journey, online D2C came first, then we went to e-commerce. So obviously Amazon, Flipkarts, and Zeptos and Blinkits of the world came in, and that's the biggest channel for us right now. And I came in 2 years back with a mandate to obviously hold all of that, but also start offline. Now, the first thing what we did in offline was that really use the data of our D2C and whatever little available from Amazon and other e-commerce to see what should we do in offline. And I think the simplest and the most fundamental thing was to look at the geographies. So I cannot afford to go all India. I cannot even afford to go all state. So what we did is that we figured out the real strong areas of what our online presence is, and which means that not only the sales awareness levels are also equally high. And for example, the South became a very big market for us. Within that, we were able to point out cities. Within that, we were able to point out pin codes. And we said, okay, I'll do my online expansion. We took an approach of weighted distribution versus the numeric distribution. And I think results have been phenomenal for us. We have been able to, we have gone to modern trade chains and obviously convinced them that we should be there. But when we convinced them, they wanted to take us to all their top stores across India. Whereas I had to put my foot down that, no, I want to be only in Bangalore, Bombay, and pick up few tier 2 cities, and that's where I'll start with. The result was that, like, their expectations for a new brand like us against, I would say, giants, Whisper and Stay Free, was that we would have a minuscule market share. But to give you context, like, when we picked out the right geography, right product, right this thing coming from D2C, we were able to clock as big as 15 to 20% market share in those stores. Now the question comes to lookalike and figuring out. But for example, Coimbatore somehow is a very big market for NOA. I still don't know why, but we have a 20% market share in at least 3 to 4 big stores, Reliance, Lulu's of the world, and that's what gives us the confidence that this is the data, this is the way brands use it, like brands like us. Use that data, go to the right store, because you won't have infinite dollars what Whisper or what P&G or Levers has to compete with them. But compete with them that particular place. So one is a product point of view, but second is also, the geography point of view, but then also came the product picture is that what do you take where? You just can't take, so on my website, on Amazon, I can afford to list everything out and just be there. But then comes the next picture is that which geography or which region or which retailer or which kind of customers, what product to point out. One thing what we have done also as a brand is stayed away from this pricing game. So we really ensure that everywhere we are priced same, be it e-commerce, be it offline, because it's largely modern trade SAMT led yet. I have not gone into GT, so I can afford to do that. So we don't really try and do the pricing game. We need to figure out, as there's a long way to go on that. I think the long way for us, and I agree, so we have reached a certain scale on D2C online, but after a while to continue to grow that at that pace becomes difficult because your audience keeps going shorter and shorter. So what we're trying to do today and build this whole omni-channel piece for us is that we've taken a call that it actually doesn't matter where the sale come from. The sale can come from website, Amazon, or an offline store. But if I am connected with that customer somehow, that's all what I need. And I also come later in the conversation, why do I need that? But what we do today, we're calling it kind of a platform. So D2C website is not a commerce website only, it's a platform. And you can shop in any of the stores you want, you can shop in Amazon. But if somehow you are linked to that, and that obviously that hook is content, which is what we give them on our website. So even a promoter standing in a Reliance would tell that you can buy it here, but if you would want to know, if you want to stay ahead of the curve, or if you want to, like we have a really use case for teens, like we figured out that a mother, 35 to 45-year-old, is really thinks about femme hygiene. She's not thinking about herself, she's thinking about her daughter. And that's the time you really go back and kind of tell her that, okay, if you want anything on this, we are there. And we see phenomenal rates. We're seeing actually rates upwards of 10 to 15% of people coming, audience which shopped in offline, but just coming to an online to register and see what's out there. And the next part is they obviously then also started buying it from there. But we're actually okay if they don't even buy, but I want to be associated with that customer somehow. So that's been a journey from the brand side, that be associated with the customer, let them buy where they want to, but be linked to them directly because, yeah, Meta is expensive.
Meta is expensive, but before expense, let's come to the profitable part. And in percentage wise, which of this channel, online, offline, is more profitable for a business in the category that you are? Because so, I am sure you are keeping the price same.
Absolutely.
But the costs are not the same.
So the way we see it today, and I think very important feat for us, 3 years back when I joined, obviously we were like any other D2C brand in India, burning a lot of VC money. We were really negative, but I think the world went through a change and we went through a very right change. We stopped thinking about all of the growth and all that. We said, let's work on the fundamentals. And in the June, just 2 months ahead of the plan, at 100 crore mark, we turned EBITDA positive. So it was a big feat for us, a small company like us, to be in EBITDA positive. And what has helped us that today the channel dynamics is very clear, that obviously the e-commerce world and the quick commerce in that gives us the bulk of our margins, followed by our website, followed by offline. This is the way it is, and it should not be this way. We know that. It is going to get expensive. So what we are doing is that on the website, through this omni-channel view is where we are working on the profitability. But all of us at NOA believe that, and that's I have spent 10 years in offline before this at Glenmark. So I know that I think the biggest revenue driver, the margin driver is going to be offline. But what we are using it is this journey of e-commerce world today to traverse that. So if I am becoming a 200 crore bay, before I have to really expand in offline, which means I have done the job of awareness and the real dollars are going to come from offline. Post I'm a 200, 250 crore brand is what we believe in. Today, if I go to offline and just spread out there, I think I'll bleed a lot of money and it won't be profitable. It could be fatal as well. So we've taken a call, let e-commerce, let quick commerce, let VCs money there, let me be profitable there.
So I want to tell Jiten, up to 100 crores. First of all, big round of applause to Ashish for reaching 100 crores in 6 years. And it's not that 6 years, we had got that 2020 also in between. So fantastic job done. Because Jiten may say, so now I am also trying to understand. Maybe Jiten ko bolne hi wala tha that, okay, 100 crores and he's telling that e-com and quick com is giving me highest percentage of profits. But next sentence bol raha hai ke 250 crores mein it's going to be reverse, right? So I was supposed to ask you a question, Jiten, now I'm not asking that question. Because this is the omni-channel game. And this is the way I think digital first brand is operating, and the way we have a special summit today, parallelly. Apart from this, we have got the 5 sessions on D2C. And this is what we want to tell to the industry today, that NOA is a classic example how D2C brands are revolutionizing the whole retail e-commerce ecosystem in the country, and how omni-channel is the true omni-channel which these guys are implementing. So thanks for those insights. Coming back to Dev, with your cult brand Godrej, in India. ठीक है दर्द है, what is the major for you, what is the major strategy that you are going to implement to ensure that your omni-channel strategy is going to be a success?
So our strategy is we are banking a lot on our spread. So we already have 1,017 showrooms across India and many other countries also, but across India mainly 1,017 showrooms, and we are distributed to more than 4,500 retailers through our distribution channel. Now, the interesting part is we are already spread out, and the difficult part is already done. Difficult part is always offline, and I keep meeting VC-funded organizations which started as online and came into offline and then started bleeding, and then they want to sell off. So, and to us most of the time, but hard work is already done. Online is the easier part because technology, and me being a computer engineer understands that it's a little easier because there we already have the spread, the distribution, the service and everything else. And we can acquire the rest of it as software as a service and everything else. What we have realized is last 30 years of data of offline sales, which is there in our SAP system or our ERP system, is a very, very valuable database, as he was also saying. And that can help us create look-alike customers very easily. And we are, over the last 1 year, we have done that with Meta, we have done that with Google, and we have analyzed look-alike customers because that actually give us a very hard ROAS, very high ROAS. We are operating at an online ROAS of lead generation of more than 10, sometimes going up to 13, 14, because what we are doing is we are using that strategy, we are using our database. While doing that, we are also creating further database which we are feeding into our marketing cloud for a customer lifetime value program. Because once a person buys a furniture, they need refurbishment, they need upholstery, they need repainting, and the furniture is forever. Buy a Almira, you can bequeath it to, and Godrej believes in that, you can bequeath it to your grandchildren. Buy a bed, you can bequeath it to your grandchildren. So that is what we are focusing on, and we are integrating everything else into our same system. As he said, we also follow exactly the same principle, same prices, not just simply same prices across omnichannel. And for us, omnichannel means again e-commerce, marketing platforms, our marketing marketplaces, our own website, our stores, distribution channels, and everything else, even quick commerce, our pillows, bed sheets, and upholstery, and throws, and comforters also sell on quick commerce today. But we want to create the same pricing network everywhere, not even a single penny of difference. Even if we provide an EMI benefit, we provide it across. If we provide a cashback, we do the deals with banks, etc., so that it is the same deal across. And in fact, my team is sitting there, which does all the deals and the technical things. We want to keep it the same because we really want the same experience. If on our website, we provide a configurator for our configurable modular kitchens, modular storage solutions, and we have an amazing modular storage solution or a modular sofa, modular beds, and we have configurators for that online. We provide the same configurators offline. If we provide a video, and you can see a video when you go to our e-commerce site of our technological prowess, because we have more than 30 factories across India building these top-notch products. And we provide experience there. We provide the same experience when a person visits our showrooms and sits in our lounge there. And we do provide a lounge experience because how many footfalls do we get? We get only 15 footfalls every day. So those 15 families who come in need to get that experience. So we want a very, very uniform experience across because, and we had this luck and this, so while we are a 127-year organization, we could leapfrog a lot of advancement because only 1.5 years ago, we realized that we need omnichannel. So we could go for the really latest of technology, and thankful because a lot of the technology partners over here, including my esteemed friend over here from Meta, they are willing to train us. They are willing to teach us the latest in the technology parameters. So technology is easy to acquire. We can leapfrog a lot of steps. For those who are in the D2C, believe me, offline is the more difficult part. But if offline is cracked well, it is the more profitable one. So if you ask me, even today, our offline is more profitable. It provides us a better VC and than online, because online also requires a lot of consistent cash burn, as he was mentioning. It requires that lead generation, it requires that cash burn, it requires the payment to our partners to keep selling. Whereas, despite the fact that the delivery and the service is in-house, so we don't outsource delivery and service in an organization like Godrej, because we already have a network which is very, very vast. It may be even higher than the largest of e-commerce marketplace today. Still, that is the place where we will keep bleeding till we cross a particular benchmark. At present, 10% of our volumes or value is from e-commerce. Maybe after we cross 20%, we may, but it requires a consistent cash burn also. Offline, once we are there, it is very, very profitable. But I have also seen my competitors and who started as online and then started going into offline. They have bled and they are near bankrupt today. And you can check out, just search for furniture online D2C brands. You will realize the difficulties which they are facing. So offline is really, really challenging. So that is where you need a lot of effort and a lot of capability of how offline works. So thank you on that. So, but of course, basically we are also going for exactly that look-alike customers and all the other things. And the challenge really comes with the DPDP Act, which is coming today, which is the Data Protection Act, where you need a lot of, you need to follow a lot of regulations to be using your customer data on one aspect to sell on another aspect. If you are selling to the mother today, after 10 years, if you want to sell to the daughter, I don't know whether that is allowed in the DPDP Act. It is still, jury is out, but the fines are really, really Herculean. So we have to learn that. With cookies going to be phased out, we really need to upload our lookalike into Meta or Google or these platforms to be able to continue to market. So that is also where partnerships come into being now. So I'm very sure social media like Google, Meta, etc., they also want to partner with large organizations for this data which we have, for even basically masked data which we have, to be able to circumvent this problem of exit of the cookies. I just put on my computer engineering hat and I'll explain something which is very technical, but this technicality will become even more intense in future.
Thank you, Dev. That was extremely elaborate and insightful. We could get a true sense of where and how you are planning to, execute your omnichannel strategies. Devesh, my next question is, with the rise of social commerce and direct-to-consumer trends, how can traditional retailers, change or adopt to their marketing strategies to optimize their omni-channel solutions in a more competitive way? Because 2-3 guys already told you are very costly, so
yes, I'll try and bring in the opposite view to this. I think it's been well established by everyone, although I think the jury is still out, because I think if you just play back the ecosystem when e-commerce started in India, I think nobody thought e-commerce could be profitable. I think if I go back in the journey, Nykaa was probably the first one to IPO that also turned profitable. And over time, I think if you look at everyone in the ecosystem, whether it's Zomato, whether it's Nykaa, they're all starting to sort of prove. So I think it's also a function of maturity curve, and over time, I think everyone will be profitable. We also work with Meesho, another prime example of a tier 2, tier 3 social commerce, right, to your point. And I think they had a very, very high cash burn 12 to 18 months ago, because the ecosystem at that point allowed it. but they've actually gone ahead and gone back to the drawing board, cut their marketing spend by 60-70%, and today are actually EBITDA positive and are on their path to IPO as well next year. So I think to a certain extent, yes, companies I think got lazy, they threw money at the problem versus actually throwing solutions to the problem. But I also think as India matures, as GDP per capita increases, profitability is coming to e-commerce as well. Now, to your point of Meta being expensive, I think the other view to this would be that, you know, if you look at traditional retailers, the way I look at it, the traditional channels that they have been participating in don't allow for granular targeting. And therefore, those mediums becomes really expensive. So if you actually think about it, you can marry the best of both worlds. You just take the fact that on digital, you can be really precise with your targeting, go really, really narrow, and therefore be inexpensive, but also send your customer offline instead of sending them online if you think that's the more profitable channel for you. So all of a sudden there, you're going after the acquisition method, which is cheaper, but sending them to the channel that's more profitable for you, right? And I think that's the examples that we showed of Tanishq, I think, was just one such example like that, which I think is fundamentally an approach where you identify cohorts. And I'll give you another example of Chroma, right? They have an entire equation that they've been able to figure out saying, from when my store opens, I have these many days to hit a certain turnover. Otherwise, it sort of goes into my laggard stores, right? And they basically cohortize, therefore, their stores into these such categories and run hyperlocal campaigns keeping that in mind, right? So I think this kind of segmentation I don't think has been done in the industry before, but can you almost take the online best practices of cohorting? Because if you look at the online world, right, your customer set is segmented more than like 10 slices of pizza, right? Like it's basically saying 1 to 3 days active, 3 to 10 days inactive, 10 to 30 and whatnot. Can we take that approach to stores as well? And can we then therefore build marketing campaigns that allow to solve for specific problem statements for those specific stores? I think that's what retailers can do to therefore come online and be able to then therefore maximize what's out there for them.
I'll come to this penultimate question, and this is on KPIs. I would request all our panelists to say what would be their key KPIs from as marketers from an omni-channel perspective. So we can start with Jiten.
So I think the most important KPI for a omni perspective is the offline to online and online to offline customer translation. That's very, very critical. So you know that you're looking at a CLV from a larger point and not looking at that specific transaction. The second thing is that this whole content to commerce, because there is this whole thing of social media influencer, it needs to come to an ROI level. It cannot be just engagement driven. So that content to commerce is a very important KPI. You need to build it up, maybe 3% of the traffic coming from social media to e-com and so on and so on. It has to come to a level where it plays the role and just not left out. The third thing, what we feel is that the app is an equivalent of the loyalty of offline. Okay, and then when my friend was talking about D2C, the store website is like a brick and mortar store. When I use the word brick and mortar, I am talking about where you own it completely and you can directly interact. So your website, your app contribution has to increase so that you know that there is a stickiness and there is a reason. And the task here is that how do you not spend on downloading apps? So right now there's a lot of money which goes spent where people are actually paying for people to download the app, and you have a large footfall happening in terms of e-com, in the brick and mortar. How do you leverage that every customer of yours is being asked to download an app? And so just to give you the gap, if 100 people walk in, only 20 people buy. That means 80 people have not bought. If you can actually give them an app offer to download and tell them to redeem, you know, it makes a lot of a difference. So how do you get the app download, play in the game? So these three KPIs are something which we would like to work on. Yeah.
I think for us, there's one KPI which I spoke about, LTV, which is for brands like us, it's really, as of now, virtually impossible to kind of track when you traverse the omni-channel thing. So we're still not there yet. We'll figure out a way. But what we do today and what's an important KPI for us, which is the second most important KPI, is the cost of acquisition. Now, here obviously a website with the help of Meta, Google, everything, you're able to track to the T that what is exactly your cost of acquisition. Second part is the e-commerce world, from Amazon to Zeptos of the world. We may not get the granular or the customer level data, but we're able to get what is your, what's the amount of money you put and what's the amount of kind of, if not the sales is obviously one leg, but what we really track there is new to brand customers, which tells me that, okay, there's a repeat angle. I know the curve after this, so I know what will happen. I think there is the third place, which is a missing link, and I want to do a little bit segue here into this, and this is putting it back to the panel and to the people out here. When it comes to the offline world, and I think this is where the retailers really need to step up their, at least the interaction with the brands on this side is that, see, though I spoke about Meta being expensive, but I still invest in Meta, and the simple reason is that the measure part of it. I can measure anything and everything what I do on Meta, and that is what e-commerce world has did for us. If I'm spending 50,000 on Amazon, I know what's going to happen with that. Whereas when it comes to retailers, honestly, like a very candid feedback, it's a black box. I don't know what's going to happen with that because I don't get any data back from it. Now, what we're talking about, if retailers track it, and especially for small brands like us, I know there are TU2s with the larger brands, there's some amount of data which goes, but for a small brand, nothing comes back. So I'm always scared to spend a lot in the offline channel. I'm really scared that will this give me something, or will I be able to know did this work or not? Except my numbers have slightly gone up, but how they've gone up. And I think e-commerce world is really leading this. I'll give you a couple of examples. Sorry, I keep bringing Meta because Meta is obviously the base out here, Meta or Google out there. When you go to Meta, there's a customer lookalike or whatever, as per their definition is, which can give you performance, which can give you engagement. But what the platforms like Amazon, Zeptos have done is that they know the buying habits more than what Meta does today. They know, Zepto knows that this customer exactly buys this. So they have taken their, and this is happening across Blinkit, Zepto, Amazon, all of them. They know what is this customer. They will allow me to target this customer on Meta and let them buy back on whatever platform it is. This is really powerful. The ROAS is really double. I'm ready to spend it because I know if I spend 10 rupees, what is going to come. Let it be 5, let it be 15, but I know what is going to come. And I really request the offline world, the retailers to think about this because the amount of investments which are going into online is simple reason measure. And I'm not able to measure that in offline, which is where I said, once I become 250 crore, I will invest because I will be able to invest. Today, I'm not able to. Yeah.
Sorry, if I can just add to that, I have a very interesting plug. No, it's actually not counter. It's a +1, I think. So the last point that he made, which is on an Amazon and a Zepto, the fact that they have the purchase data and they're able to give these cohorts in a way to him to advertise on Meta itself. There's a product that's out there called collaborative ads, right? It actually does exactly this. If you are a retailer today or a large brand selling on platforms like them, you can actually take control of your marketing. You can run performance marketing and send traffic to Amazon, Zepto, Flipkart, whoever in a very constructive way and eventually see your ROAS on the back of it. So again, I would urge you, if let's say any of you brands out there are listed on, or are selling brands are listed on these marketplaces, please do go and ask them to allow you to enable it because it is very, very powerful because you get control in your hands, you get that data as well, and you can see real ROAS.
Yeah, so there was exactly like, and we do collab ads also, but what I'm trying to say that if a Reliance or a Lulu is going to do same, I'm ready to invest money there as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just in addition to that, we also use the same implementation partner and the same softwares and same thing as Tanishq, since he revealed the name. So what we have today is the same ROAS measurement which we can do online. We can do for offline also because we use the SFDC marketing cloud, which is integrated into the sales cloud, which is integrated into the e-commerce cloud of Adobe. So we can do the same measurement because we have a control. Now, we have gone a level further because anyone, even if a person buys from marketplaces or from my retailers, they do need my service. So we also have integrated a service cloud where we have gone ahead of even Tanishq. So we have entire data of all consumers because they do need our service to install the furniture or install anything. Even if they need a delivery, they need at least the packaging opened and everything cleaned and put up there. And this goes beyond just furniture, it goes to appliances, locks, safes, etc. So what we can track using all of these is, of course, overall return on ad spend. But we do believe that return on ad spend is a very D2C language. As a business head, I track revenues from all these streams. and EBITDA, earning before interest, tax, depreciation, etc., from all the channels separately. So I can exactly tell you what is the percentage EBITDA from each of these channels, and that is what we track. And that is what we will keep tracking. So be it marketplaces, own website, retail, our own showrooms, or our distributed channels. So that is what we track.
Yeah, I think very quickly I'll just break this down, right? So we generally divide marketing into two, and I think this is also a little controversial because maybe everybody doesn't look at it that way, but your marketing is either doing brand marketing or performance marketing, right? And the KPIs therefore for both will be different, and I'll just break this down for you. So think of the last time you saw an ad on Meta. The ad is either incentivizing you to continue watching it on Meta itself, which is consuming that content and therefore engagement, or incentivizing you to go out of Meta to get traffic to your website or to download an app like they mentioned. So anything that takes you out of Meta is a performance marketing campaign, anything that keeps you there is a brand marketing campaign. And therefore the KPIs for both have to be different. A brand marketing campaign cannot be about what clicks I got, because fundamentally you are trying to drive a certain movement in mind metrics, awareness towards your product, consideration towards your platform maybe, and therefore that KPI should be what you should be tracking, right? On the other hand, when it comes to performance marketing, yes, it's fundamentally ROAS, could also be traffic if that's your goal, but that's how I would really break it down.
Final question is 3 words for successful implementation of omnichannel strategies. 3 words. We'll start with Jiten. Only 3 words, please. We've got 1 minute to go.
Seamless,
Yes.
convergence,
Yes.
and engagement. Yeah.
Okay. Ashish?
Yeah, for me, it's own the customer, channel agnostic, and value proposition different for different channels. Yeah.
I would say customer lifetime value. So this is 3 words and the best acronym I have ever heard.
Customer lifetime value. Very good.
Be open to experiment. We see lots of, I won't explain the why, but yeah,
Thanks. So we are 30 seconds before time's up. Any questions that audience would like to ask? We can take one question, please, before we wind up. Yeah, please.
My question is to Mr. Hitesh. You told that the KPIs for brand awareness should be different on awareness. So what kind of KPIs can Meta help us?
Yeah, so I think if you're running a campaign on Meta, we allow you to mount something called a brand lift study, where you can actually therefore define 3-4 questions. So for example, one question could be, do you recall seeing an ad for XYZ? Do you believe platform X fulfills this promise XYZ? And you can track down your brand name along with competition as well. And therefore you can see what that campaign did to drive lift. You can also compare your baseline versus the competition. So that's the kind of insights. And on the back of multiple campaigns, you can see how these scores improve as well.
So basically poll questions.
Yes, poll questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. This was extremely insightful. Thanks to Devesh, Ashish, Dev, and Jiten for sharing these wonderful insights with us. We will, end the session now. Thank you.